Who exactly is profiting from these deportations to El Salvador? JD Pritzker in an interview said he wants to ask Trump, what does Putin have on you? Will the media step up and ask it? Is somebody actively trying to poison Vladimir Putin? And are we heading towards political violence in the US? And if something did happen to Putin, does he have a contingency plan to release the dirt that he has on the felon? Let's look into all of that. Welcome to Scrying Out Loud. My name is Trevor. First off, a huge thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who likes, watches the videos, shares the videos, promotes the channel in any way. If you've given money to the channel through Buy Me a Coffee, Venmo, or the Super Thanks, a huge, huge thank you. It's all humbly received, and I'm very grateful for all of you. So let's look into that. Let's first start with the question of JD Pritzker. So JD Pritzker wants to ask the felon, what does Vladimir Putin have on you? I think this is the beginning of the unraveling. But will the media actually follow through and ask it? Will the Democrats actually start demanding that it be answered? Let's see. So, will somebody directly ask the felon about the dirt that Putin has on him? I can see a reporter doing it in one of these press briefings. It looks like it's taking place outside, so it might be around the Easter egg hunt. You know, the ceremony that they have with the Easter eggs. I don't think he'll answer the question. I think he'll ignore it. But let's see. Will it be asked? I think getting it asked is important, even if he doesn't answer it, because a non-answer says something. Let's see what the cards have to say. I do get the feeling that the media is scared to ask it. Yeah, there's a lot of anxiety. They're nervous to ask it, but they want to. They want to ask it, or some do. The problem is they're fearful that their credentials will be taken away. So the Three Cups is about circles of support. If their credentials are taken away and they're no longer allowed to ask questions of the felon, they're asking themselves, what good does that accomplish? We get the Three of Swords underneath. There's a lot of kind of misery in the media. Um, I think a lot of, especially older journalists, are just very concerned that their bosses and even themselves to some degree are censoring their questions out of fear and retribution. It's not the way it's supposed to be, right? We're supposed to have the freedom of the press. And of course, what's it all about? It's about Russia. I mean, ultimately, we get the Empress card in the past. All of these questions pertain to Russia. And that is part of the reason why I think the media is nervous about it. Now, the felon's going to hold these stories close to his vest. He's not going to talk about it at all. So they kind of know they're not going to get answers anyhow. That does not justify them not asking the question. Eventually, somebody will, though. We get the King of Wands in the near future. When the question's asked, this will be the beginning of the downfall of the felon. It will be. It'll just all start to unravel. People will start to piece together that he's not answering basic questions. You know, he could just say, Putin has no dirt on me, but he won't say that. He'll just not answer the question, is what I'm getting. People will judge whether the question's answered or not or skirted. There will be judgment and it will raise alarm bells. People are already concerned with the relationship that the felon is building with Putin. People don't like it. It's not popular. In the hopes and fears, we get partnerships. The hope is that the media they'll group together as a group and a unit and demand a free and fair press. The fear is that they won't. The administration will be put on the defense if they start asking these questions with the Seven of Wands. We get the Star card of hope. The hope is that this starts investigations, journalistic investigations, even if they're abroad, even if people in Europe are investigating what's going on. This would be a good thing. And ultimately, we get wish fulfillment. I do think the question will get asked. By whom and where, that's a kind of a trickier story. Yeah, it's inevitable. The Three of Wands, it's inevitable. And uh, after all, it's all about the voters. That's what the presidency is supposed to be about. Everybody seems to be forgetting that the president is supposed to be helping the voters, the citizenry. It's like the media has lost track of that. Why don't they just ask the generic question of how does laying off IRS employees help the average person? They're not even asking those questions. It's a huge failure of journalism. We get the Hierophant. The courts might start getting involved too. I wouldn't be surprised if the courts asked this question, not in that like kind of aggressive way, but in this like, why exactly is this benefiting the United States type of way? There is a spy in the camp. We've talked about this. I will read on that at some point. It just feels like there's so much going on. It's all very overwhelming. So make sure you're taking time for yourself, whether that's relaxing, um, however you choose to relax. I think it's important that we stay healthy and that we're ready for this political battle that's going to be coming forward in the next year or so when it comes to the midterm elections. We're all going to need to be ready for that. Okay. The next question I want to ask is who's benefiting from this these deportations to El Salvador? So when I was doing a reading, I don't remember when it was. It was a couple weeks ago at least. I often don't remember what I say as I'm just getting information, but I distinctly remember there were coins in the water and I couldn't figure out what they were. I think I know the answer to that now. So when I was scrying earlier, there's the card for the felon, King of Pentacles. Underneath that's the Tower. Things are coming. It's going to happen. He's going to have a downfall. When? I don't know exactly when. It's hard to time things with tarot. My guess is it's some term towards the end of the summer into the early autumn. That's my instincts. So when I was scrying about this El Salvador thing, I could see the people that were detained being booked into the prison, which is in a town, Tuleco, I think, something along those lines. But then I could see them being bussed. And on the bus ride, you could see the ocean to the right. So that would mean they were going north. And north of this, where the prison is the city of La Union or Union, spelled like union with the accent mark. And that's where El Salvador wants to build Bitcoin City. So huge place to mine Bitcoins. So let's just ask, are are these detainees going to be used as slave labor to build Bitcoin City? Now, there's been a lot of complaints in El Salvador from the citizenry that this thing is costing too much money, and some concerns on whether it'll be profitable. So it is true that the US paid about $6 million for El Salvador to take uh, these people who are there. We get the Five of Swords. This card has a weird feeling to it. It's kind of like they don't understand how they ended up there. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. And now they're being forced to do labor. It's very confusing to them. The challenge is keeping it a secret. It's all about theft and deception. That's all these deportations are about. They're all about theft and deception. The theft for entertainment purposes only has some monetary parts to it, but it also has to do with stealing people for slave labor and other things. You can fill in the blank there. Lots of swords energy. Get the Six of Swords underneath. They're hoping to get out. They can't make logical sense of it because logic's in the past. There is no logic to confining a human being to prison and using them for labor. There's no logic to it. It's a very sad situation. But the MAGA folk, and well, maybe not the MAGA folk, the general MAGA folk, but the felon, Putin, Musk, some politicians in El Salvador are very much celebrating this. They know El Salvador thinks they're going to deliver something for their people. They're going to be able to sell it that way. And the felon thinks he's accomplishing a few things. One is pleasing the MAGA base by getting rid of people that they feel don't belong in the country. And also, uh, I think there will be some profit sharing of some sort, probably not for the felon, but it might be used to pay off some, for entertainment purposes only, blackmail is what I've been feeling. Yeah, juggling money, particularly overseas money. The felon doesn't know how to repay these loans and debts or because he doesn't have the money. He's not as wealthy as he claims to be. We get the Queen of Cups. Emotional stories are going to start to come forward, and this is going to bring out leadership on the Democratic side. I think we're already seeing it. This card very much feels like AOC. You know, she's very well spoken. She has a way of connecting, with her roots as working as a bartender and a waitress. I think people can really relate to that. The problem for El Salvador and the administration is they're not going to be able to keep up once the story breaks, and it will break. Then the hopes and fears, we get wish fulfillment. The wish here is that the deportations stop, or at least it's exposed what's going on so that the citizenry of the US can look at it in a different light. Messages coming forward about money, who's making what and why and when. We have Elon Musk as well getting wrapped up into this with the magician card. But ultimately, we get victory. And sometimes victories are Pyrrhic in the sense of the people whose lives have been completely disrupted, that have been put on these planes and flown to El Salvador and Panama and probably other places, they're never going to get that time back, but it will be exposed what's going on. So I feel good about that. We didn't look at the shadow cards. Yeah, new beginnings around money, people becoming more passionate about finding out exactly what's going on. Okay. Now, a while ago, I had a dream in which Putin was in bed. There were no covers on the bed, and next to him was a glass of what appeared to be water, but the water was like brown and icky. And then there were snakes all over the floor. And I recently had something very similar. The snakes were of a different color this time, and Putin was more not laying on the bed, but looked like was kind of tied to it. But the brown water, the jar was, or the glass was bigger than it was in the previous stream. And that makes me wonder, you know, is Putin um is somebody actively trying to poison Putin? I'm just going to put it the way it is. So somebody actively trying to poison Putin. Somebody actively trying to poison. I'm actively trying to poison Putin. Actively trying to poison. Yeah, I can see a clear glass of water in the same sort of vessel, but in the dream it's brown, so something's added to it. I'm not saying that water's the means of this happening. I'm just saying that I think that representation is a poison. We're putting something toxic in him. Let's give these a few more shuffles. It don't quite feel right. Somebody actively trying to poison Pooh. Active. I think a lot of people want him gone, including the felon. It's definitely a crossroads situation and being blind to something. The challenge is partnerships, getting available to him. If somebody actively wants to poison him, actually getting access to him is going to be quite difficult. There's too many guardrails in place for it to be successful, or so that it appears. We have to keep going. This is only the third card, but they're definitely he's very concerned about his safety at all times. In the past, we have the Three of Wands. The decision's been made. It's inevitable. Somebody's going to try to take him out. It's already been made, and it has some foreign influence to it. It's partly probably domestic, like the person that actually does it might be Russian, but there's some foreign influence to it. Now, it's typically not nations' practices to do assassinations. In fact, it's against the US policy, and I'm sure it's against many other policies. But there's an undercurrent of trying to do it without people figuring out what's being done. And they're going to be successful, I have a feeling. We get the Six of Wands in the sky. Yeah, we get wish fulfillment in the near term outcome. I'm not sure that this brings about his death. We can read about that as well. It'll bring about a new beginning, though, a new way of thinking about things. Look at the Temperance card. It's like the angels are on the poisoner's side, which sounds kind of contradictory, but that's what it feels like. This will be a great crossroads for the world. That's the hope. If he goes away, the world can have a different start to it, like a new path to go down where he has no influence. The outcome is the lover's card. And this, I think, was what I was feeling about. The lover's card's all about unlikely partners. Who could be partnering together to do this? In the tower, it's going to bring structures down. It's going to tear things down. Even the discovery of it would tear things down, but I think I feel like it's going to be successful. We get the King of Cups. This is the card for the Democrats. Now, I don't think the Democrats are involved. I don't get that. I think it's Europeans that might be involved. Get the card for the church, the Pope, the courts. And we get moving out of troubled waters, the Six of Swords. And we get the Judgment card. And we get the Devil card. This is kind of like Putin himself being wounded in battle with the Five of Swords. So I think I think they're going to be successful. I don't know if that leads for him dying or if it just incapacitates him for a while, or being unalived. I guess is probably what I should be saying. Let's ask that question though. Is Putin still around? Let's go the end of 2025. Is Putin still around in December of 2025? Get the Nine of Pentacles. He's got a lot of security. Putin's still around. Still around end of 20. Interesting. I see the Empress card, but it's not exactly the Empress card. It's the Empress card, and she's holding an infant. What that could mean. The Empress holding an infant. I guess like it's like the world is born again, maybe. Don't know what the imagery of that is supposed to mean. We get the Seven of Cups, lots of possibilities. Nothing set in stone yet. The challenge is getting the job done. If one plan doesn't work, try another. Move these over a bit. That sounds a little glossy. Sorry about that. Get a surprising new beginning with the Ace of Cups. Yeah, in the past we get the Chariot. This is, the being stuck in, think of the word traffic, add a K and then add an ing. That becomes in the past. That's good that that's going to become in the past. That makes me think he's not going to be here. Yeah, it's inevitable. It's inevitable that he's going away. We get a new beginning in the near-term outcome with the Fool card. We get guardrails falling down, guardrails being broken. The guardrails that were keeping him safe, they break with the Nine of Wands. We get the Knight of Pentacles. Somebody's getting paid to do this. That's why it'll be hard to trace where the actual money started on who's doing this. There's a lot of heavy burdens, a lot of discussions going on about how to do it. The weight of the world feels like it's on the shoulders of the people that are choosing to to go about this procedure. They're doing it for the good of the world. Whether it's misguided or not, that's a totally different story and a different reading. They're doing it for the next generation. Sleepless nights, staying up planning, and they're hoping the fates turn in their way with the wheel of fortune. Underneath, we have deceit and deception, uh, trickery, thievery, deception. Makes perfect sense if you're plotting an assassination. We get the Three of Swords. They're probably doing something that's going to make his heart stop, is what it feels like. Some sort of really quick acting poison and bombshells and surprises. So, yeah, I don't think he's around, is the sense I get. And I think it's going to be shocking that people were able to pull it off. I don't think people think that they're going to be able to, but there's a lot of suffering going on in Russia. And there's a lot of fear in Europe. And the fear in Europe is not just from Russia, it's also from the United States. So I think Putin kind of feels like the common denominator that if he's gone, the situation in the United States might improve. Okay, the last question I want to ask is about the United States. So I had heard when I was meditating, I heard three gunshots, not literally, the clariaudient, I guess. I heard three gunshots. I heard screaming, and then I could see people diving to protect someone, and it felt like it was Secret Service. I don't know that they were protecting the felon, though. So it could be. Let's just ask the question. Is there going to be political violence in the US this summer? It just kind of feels like that's where we're heading. Is there going to be political violence in the US this summer? This got I get yes, but it might not involve politicians. I guess that could be like Musk or more CEOs that are supporters of politicians. I don't think this is exclusively going to be MAGA people being targeted, by the way. I think this could be a lot of people being targeted. I'll see if I can't get more and I'll do another reading, but do we need to be worried? Will there be political violence in the US this summer? Yeah, I think so. There's planning, logic, and planning. The challenge is actually accomplishing it. Planning something and being able to carry it out is two different things. But my instinct is that the people that normally monitor social media posts and the people like the career people that have been keeping us safe, they're not there anymore, or they're just highly distracted by what's going on politically. Yeah, people coming together for a common goal, the Two of Cups. You get pausing and suspension in the past, really thinking about what would accomplish their goal. Now we're in the psyche of the people planning violence, so uh, it might not make a lot of sense. They're thinking about what would accomplish their goal. I don't know what their goal is necessarily because I don't know that it's rational. We get juggling, overseas influence, a lot of money involved. People might have been offered money to commit these acts as well. The near-term outcome, we get the King of Swords or the Knight of Swords, swift action, ready to go into battle. Yeah, we get the tower card explosion, tearing down of structures. The Wheel of Fortune, the fates are turning. It's a question for who. We get the Ace of Wands in the hopes and fears. This could be new leadership. Now, I'm not saying this affects the presidency. There's a lot of people that could be targets of this. Yeah, bombshells and surprises. In fact, wouldn't be surprised if there was for entertainment purposes only, a suicide bomber, a car bomber. Um, all of these things I kind of saw in the 2025 predictions. Sorry, I just realized these are out of view. I'm trying to keep it away from the glare. Walking away from things that no longer serve us. That's what the people wanting to do this are. They're wanting to get rid of people that aren't serving them. Yeah, and it's toxicity, abuse of power, mis and disinformation. Their rationale might not be valid. It might make no sense to us, but it makes sense to them. Things coming to the surface, the moon card. There's a group of them that are supporting one another. I don't think it's a large group. And we get the Star of Hope. You do get the card for the presidency. This is interesting. Also, abuse of power, followed directly by the death card, followed directly by the card for Elon Musk. Yikes. And then the card for the guardrails. And we get truth. Yeah, I think I think that might be where we're heading. I hope I'm I hope I'm wrong because I don't know that this will accomplish anything really. So I hope I'm wrong. Um, I don't know. I felt this for a while though, and I think I even said something in the 2025 predictions about suicide bombers. Uh, anyhow, uh, thank you again for supporting the channel. I greatly appreciate it. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you.